Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Folks, a lot of stuff is going on in Washington, D.C. in the world of politics. Welcome to our channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda, and this right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I have covered on our channel that Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin have been in a collision course over the fate of the $3.5 trillion stimulus plan. And another crisis that has been brewing, that has been averted for the moment, is the raising of the debt ceiling. Now, the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, who essentially had a lot of pressure from President Biden, agreed to have the Republicans support an increase in the debt ceiling by $480 billion, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. And it'll allow the government to continue paying its bills until December. In other words, we're going to have another fight on our hands come December. Now, this entire crisis, this entire posturing, if you will, between the two parties did lead the country to the brink of a major financial crisis, not only for America, but this could have sent shockwaves throughout the world, because the entire world looks to the American economy as a beacon of hope, as a beacon of stability. This could have led to a global financial meltdown if the US defaulted on its own obligations. It's almost like saying, hey, you have a credit card, your credit card is maxed out, and the only way for you to continue living and the only way for you to continue being able to keep up with your expenses is not by paying off the credit card, which, by the way, we as a country have not been able to do, and we can't right now because we are $28 trillion in debt, almost $28 trillion. But the solution is, hey, let's just raise the credit card limit and continue spending. Yes, folks, that is exactly what raising the debt ceiling is all about. And the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, had some choice words for the Republicans, basically blaming the Republicans for bringing the country to the brink of a major financial catastrophe. In fact, let's take a look at this segment featuring the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the floor of the United States Senate. And the most fascinating part about this clip is not just what Chuck Schumer says, but take a close look at the one and only Senator Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, sitting behind Chuck Schumer, and look at his reaction. You can see that he's visibly stunned, and he's actually upset at Chuck Schumer for hammering the Republicans. In fact, he was speaking with the Republican sitting right next to him, but more importantly, look at the reaction of Joe Manchin towards the end of this clip. And again, you will see a visibly stunned Joe Manchin, who clearly does not like what Chuck Schumer is saying, as Chuck Schumer hammers the Republicans. Folks, politics is about timing, opportunity, tribalism, and perception. And this is a very clear public display of the discord within the Democratic Party, while Chuck Schumer highlights the so-called unity within his party and hammers the Republicans. You can see a key Democrat basically being visibly stunned. Let's roll the tape and watch Chuck Schumer on the floor of the United States Senate. Let's take a look.
Despite immense opposition from Leader McConnell and members of his conference, our caucus held together, and we've pulled our country back from the cliff's edge that Republicans tried to push us over. This is a temporary but necessary and important fix. I appreciate that at the end of the day, we were able to raise the debt limit without a convoluted and unnecessary reconciliation process that until today, the Republican leader claimed was the only way to address the debt limit. Let me say that again. Today's vote is proof positive that the debt limit can be addressed without going through the reconciliation process, just as Democrats have been saying for months.
Now, I don't know if you happen to catch that, Joe Manchin, towards the end of Chuck Schumer's speech. Let's take a look at Joe Manchin again, and let's this time zoom in on him and his reaction. He puts his head in his hands. He shakes his head. He says something that I'm sure is not very flattering to Chuck Schumer, and then he stands up and walks away. This is pretty incredible, folks. Let's roll the tape and zoom in on this aspect of the video where we can see a visibly upset, a visibly stunned Joe Manchin during the speech with Chuck Schumer. Let's watch.
This is a temporary but necessary and important fix. I appreciate that at the end of the day, we were able to raise the debt limit without a convoluted and unnecessary reconciliation process that until today, the Republican leader claimed was the only way to address the debt limit. Let me say that again. Today's vote is proof positive that the debt limit can be addressed without going through the reconciliation process, just as Democrats have been saying for months.
And folks, it's very clear that Chuck Schumer had choice words for the Republicans. You saw that many Republicans were actually pretty upset with what Chuck Schumer said on the floor of the Senate, and they actually complained to reporters. One of those Republican senators was a Republican from Utah, Mitt Romney, and believe it or not, Joe Manchin actually said to reporters, this is reporting from Punchbowl News, Joe Manchin actually said to reporters about Chuck Schumer's speech that was stupid. Yes, you heard that right. These are the words of Joe Manchin referring to Chuck Schumer's speech after Chuck Schumer was done when Manchin was speaking with reporters outside the halls of the Senate. He said, I quote, that was stupid. So what is the bottom line, folks? The bottom line is that the Senate has passed a short-term extension of the debt limit by a 50 to 48 vote. And this essentially avoided a major financial catastrophe in our country. Now, this came after the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and 10 other Republicans voted to break the Republican filibuster on this measure. Now, this ended a long standoff over the debt limit, and it has essentially set up another massive showdown later in December between McConnell and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Now, I want to be clear, there was a lot of last minute drama, and as you saw earlier in this episode of Ignition Time, Chuck Schumer harshly criticized the Republican Party for provoking this crisis. And it was very clear that Chuck Schumer made it evident that he won this battle in this long, never-ending war. Again, it's very clear that many Republicans, including Joe Manchin, did not like this. And the Senate Minority Whip, John Thune, actually complained personally to Schumer on the floor of the Senate, and Senator Mike Rounds, who's a Republican from South Dakota, and Mitt Romney, who's a Republican from Utah, also complained to reporters. And Manchin actually told Schumer personally, that the speech was, I quote, stupid, according to 4 sources. Believe it or not, Manchin said that directly to Chuck Schumer, and then Manchin also complained to reporters. Now, this basically means that there's a lot of discord and there's a very tense atmosphere in the floor of the United States Senate, and I believe as we get into the fall, things are only going to get worse. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. I work very hard on this channel to bring you the latest news, and I'll continue to do that. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. I'm blessed to have a phenomenal video production team of Joseph and Jeanette who work hard on this channel every single day to bring you high quality content in a visually stunning format. Unlike other channels that are just talking head videos, a lot of effort goes into the thumbnails that you see of each and every video on our channel, thanks to our phenomenal design wizard. His name is Jay. You can reward me, Joseph, Jeanette, and Jay by simply clicking the like button, by clicking subscribe, and by enabling notifications. A ton of effort, not to mention money, goes into the production of every single video on this channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Please also follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.